Did you know?
Tennessee,
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 Tennessee.
Tennessee.
While it is difficult to give an exact number, Tennessee is estimated to have hundreds of American Indian or ancient mound builder mounds throughout the state. To give some perspective, here is a map of the 56 state parks and natural areas throughout the state of Tennessee where the majority of the mounds are located. With 15 mounds at Pinson Mound State Archaeological Park near Jackson, 12 mounds at Mound Bottom State Archaeological Area in Kingston Springs, 7 mounds at Shiloh National Military Park, 7 mounds at Camp Buck Tums in Rockwood, 5 mounds near Nashville at Bowling Spring in Brentwood, and the Sequoyah Birthplace Museum in Vonore, which includes a burial mound containing nearly 200 burials excavated during the Tellico Archaeological Project, just to name a few. Many of these mounds were originally surrounded by tribal communities with dozens of houses, and the mounds and communities were enclosed with wooden palisades. Tennessee also has several mounds located in many cities and towns near the state parks and natural areas. The tallest mound in the state of Tennessee is located at the Pinson Mound State Archaeological Park near Jackson, Tennessee, on 1,200 acres of land containing 15 American Indian or ancient mound builder mounds, including Sauls Mound, Ozier Mound, the Twin Mounds, and Mound 31. The Pinson Mounds contain numerous cist graves, which are stone-lined burial chambers dating back to the Woodland Period around 3,000 years ago. Archaeologists have excavated multiple tombs within the mounds, some containing the remains of several ancient mound builders. One notable excavation was the tomb in the Twin Mounds containing the remains of 8 women wearing headdresses and copper jewelry, and another tomb with the remains of 4 men. In the other Twin Mound, another tomb contained the remains of 3 men with 8 women surrounding them in a circle, all buried wearing headdresses and copper jewelry. Let's go on this side of the museum. Look at the effigy mound shapes. Look, they got the panther, the bird, the bear, turtle, the waterfowl, the eagle. Effigy mounds. Geometric earthworks. And here are some other artifacts. Arrowheads, flint, Snyder points. Look at this platform pipe. Interesting. Michelle Gordy. The symbolism and depiction of the Birdman, known throughout the ancient Americas. That looked like a brother to me. I'm just saying.
The Mound Builder civilizations of the Mississippian culture built mounds over a period of 5,000 years, from around 3,500 years before the Common Era to the 16th century. Over 3 centuries later, Egypt was unified as a civilization around 3,150 years before the Common Era, and around 525 years before the Common Era was under a succession of Persian, Greek, Roman, and Islamic rule before joining the Ottoman Empire in 1517. Egypt was then controlled by Britain in the 19th century, before it became a republic in 1953. Similarities in the cultures and artifacts of the ancient mound builder civilizations of the Mississippian culture of North America and the Egyptians that settled on the bank of the Nile, who in histories boasted that their ancestors in the lands of the West were the oldest men on earth, suggests that one was definitely influenced by the other.
Can you prove that? Well, let's look at the science, the historical facts, the religion, and what many may call coincidence. Scientists discovered the oldest Y chromosome, known as the father gene or the Adam gene, in North America, dating 340,000 years old, in an indigenous American named Albert Perry from South Carolina. Of the 640 food crops grown in Africa today, almost 600 of those food crops originated in the Americas. So who's your mother? Following the corn or maize, which originated in the Americas around 10,000 years ago, it was introduced to Egypt after the late 15th century. But the scripture states in Genesis chapter 42 that Jacob saw that there was corn in Egypt, and he sent his sons down to Egypt to buy corn so that they may live and not die. Even Joseph's brothers went down to buy corn in Egypt. So where is Egypt? Archaeologists suggest that ancient mound builders built mounds in Louisiana in 4000 BC. But many of the mounds are tens of thousands of years older, and the mounds were built in alignment with star constellations. For example, the Poverty Point mounds aligning with Polaris and Ursa Minor, which scientists admit that there is no exact date for the last alignment, but speculate on a time frame when the alignment was established to fit their narrative. What are the odds? Animals indigenous to the Americas are Egyptian gods. The North American hawk is Ra. The North American falcon is Horus. The Central American Shiloh Squintly is Anubis. The North American and South American ibis is Thoth. Reports and studies suggest traces of cocaine, nicotine, tobacco, and THC from cannabis or marijuana and hashish have been found in Egyptian mummies. In 1992, German forensic toxicologist Dr. Svetlana Balabanova reported finding nicotine or tobacco and cocaine, which are indigenous to the Americas, in the hair and soft tissues of several Egyptian mummies. Dr. Balabanova also claimed that some mummies have tobacco residues. This was shocking and very surprising because tobacco and cocaine derive from coca and tobacco plants that are indigenous to the Americas. Now, using critical thinking and common sense, we know that hundreds of ancient mound builder mummies have been excavated throughout North America and shipped over to the tourist attraction in the deserts of the Giza Plateau. How do we know this? Well, it's not a coincidence that several of the mummies of supposed pharaohs have narcotic plants that were only grown in the Americas in their systems. Answer me this. Where are all the hundreds and thousands of ancient mound builder mummies excavated from the mounds throughout North America? Shouldn't we have ancient mound builder mummies on exhibit in every museum in North America, considering all the newspaper reports and archaeological confirmations of ancient mummies excavated from the Indian mounds throughout North America? So again, where is Egypt? Alright, the Twin Mounds. And this is some photos of them. Twin Mounds. Ozier Mound. Sauls Mound, which is the largest mound at Pinson. Here's a photo of Sauls Mound. Mound 28. Mound 29. Material culture. Food that has salt, cave squash, and Indian corn or maize. The Seneca sunflower and Indian tobacco, moccasins, here's some relics that they took out of the mounds. Some of these artifacts were taken from the mounds or found near the mounds. Where are the artifacts from the Twin Mounds? Yeah, where are they? They're missing. This is an empty exhibit here. I wonder why. About 20 ancient mound builder skeletal remains were excavated from the Twin Mounds. Sauls Mound. So we circle around so we can get up the stairwell so I can get up on this platform so I can check out the view. Back in the pew.
In America, cist graves refer to small, stone-built, coffin-like boxes or ossuaries used by American Indians, particularly those of the Mississippian culture, for burial, especially in the Midwestern and Southeastern United States, particularly in the Cumberland River Valley. The Cumberland River Valley in Tennessee is a major waterway, which flows from its headwaters at the southern tip of Illinois into Kentucky, through Nashville and Clarksville, and into the Ohio River. A cist grave is a rectangular or polygonal stone structure, typically built within a hole, to house a burial. Stone box graves, or cists, were a common burial method for American Indians or mound builders belonging to the Mississippian culture. These graves are particularly prominent in the Cumberland River Valley of Kentucky and Tennessee, with thousands found during excavations in the Nashville, Tennessee area.
Can we pause, record scratch?
Did you know that from the compiled research, anthropological analysis, and craniometric confirmations documented in the book, The Racial History of Man, written by Harvard professor Roland B. Dixon, with numerous contributing doctors, professors, and experts in the field of anthropology at the time, most notably Franz Boas, widely considered the father of anthropology. In the chapter on North America, Dixon states, the Proto-Negro type has a very striking distribution. Except for its rather unexpected strength among the ancient basket makers in Arizona, it nowhere seems to have played an important part in the whole area west of the Rocky Mountains. Hold that thought, we'll come back to that. It is nevertheless of considerable importance among the Iroquois and southern Algonquin tribes, and in the early Carania from the Turner Group mounds in the Ohio Valley and the prehistoric cist grave people of Tennessee. The Aborigines of Kentucky and Tennessee came from the South and had intimate connections with the people of Mexico and some intercourse with the Peruvians and people of Chile.
In the Tennessee area, cists, burial chambers, are often found within or near mounds, particularly those from the Mississippian and Woodland periods, and a notable example is Pinson Mound State Archaeological Park, stretching over 1,200 acres, containing over 15 American Indian mounds, with Sauls Mound being the largest, towering 73 feet high, and is considered the second tallest mound in the United States.
Here's Sauls Mound, and there's the staircase that we're gonna go ahead and walk up so I can show you what it looks like from the top of the platform. Look how tall it is. This thing is huge. It's like a mountain. Walk up the stairwell. All right, let's get to the top. windy up here, but it's a beautiful view. If you want to know why they call this culture the woodland, look around. Look around. This is the woodlands. Of course, it's not as wooded as it used to be because they done cut out a lot of trees down, as you can see. But this area of Tennessee and other southern states, we have a lot of forests, a lot of woods. That's why they call them the Woodland Indians. They stayed in those areas. All right, we're descending the stairs. We're just leaving the top of Sauls Mound. That was a great experience. Beautiful up there. To the ground. Way up there. Wow. Kingston Springs, Tennessee. Tennessee full of mounds. You see mounds all over Tennessee. Some of them, they're not even described as mounds. They're just covered, got trees, but you can see the shapes. You can tell that they were mounds, or possibly pyramids hiding up under those growths of trees and shrubs. Now this one, definitely beautiful sight. In the state of Tennessee, hundreds, if not thousands, of ancient mound builder mounds have been destroyed by immigrating colonists and foreign settlers of European descent. Most of the land where the mounds once stood is now commercial properties and residential communities and neighborhoods.
Many American Indian mound sites in Tennessee have been destroyed or significantly altered due to urban development, agriculture, and other factors. While sites like Pinson Mounds in western Tennessee are relatively well preserved, others like those along Browns Creek in Nashville have been completely obliterated. Along Browns Creek in Nashville, there were over 6,000 indigenous remains found buried in stone box graves that the Tennessee Ancient Sites Conservancy said were destroyed, wiped out, plowed over, and plowed under. No place had a stronger concentration of prehistoric people than that of the Stone Grave Indians in Middle Tennessee, particularly around Nashville. During the 1940s, thousands of Indian burial graves were destroyed by bulldozers and plow trucks to make way for the construction of segregated neighborhoods and communities for the growing numbers of European settlers, accounting for 90% of the population in Nashville. The children in the neighborhoods and communities often dug up the remains from the destroyed burial sites, and many youngsters possessed skulls and other objects in payment for their digging over a period of years. Similarly, the glass mounds in Franklin, for example, had several mounds destroyed by phosphate mining and early excavators, as well as the Tellico, an old Temple Mound site in Chattanooga that was leveled around 100 years ago to make way for a highway and urban development.
In the 1930s, when we were told that the United States was in a Great Depression, the Tennessee Valley Authority spent well over $1 billion to build 16 hydroelectric dams in the Tennessee Valley between 1933 and 1944. The construction of the 16 dams transformed the region and destroyed innumerable ancient mounds that were located along or near the Tennessee River, after many of the tombs and cist graves were excavated for skeletal remains and artifacts.
We have to go back.
Just unlearning and relearning.
Can we just get back to the point here?
History is repeating itself.
The Elliott Indian Bible, printed in the Algonquin language in 1663, was the first and only Bible published in North America for over 100 years until it was published in English in 1781.
Dixon restates a few pages later that in the northeastern area of North America, the primary factor among the Iroquois, Lenape, and southern New England tribes was the Proto-Negroid. In the present area, this type is of relatively slight importance, meaning the indigenous people in the northeastern areas once inhabited by the Proto-Negroid, Iroquois, Lenape, and southern New England tribes were usurped and replaced by European colonists, their lands demarcated and named U.S. states by 1875. Dixon then expounds on the Proto-Negro type in the areas west of the Rocky Mountains as he states, in the islands of the California coast, the Proto-Negro type, is lacking among the males, although present as a small minority among the females. It is not found in the Paraque and occurs only as a trace in the Ute and Paiute. The basket maker Carania, however, show a contrast to the more modern population in that the Proto-Negro type is present in a large amount in both sexes, meaning the craniometry of the ancient Proto-Negro basket makers of Arizona does not match the majority of the people living there today. This would appear to indicate that this type, the Proto-Negroid, was at an earlier date quite prominent in this portion of the continent. And this belief is corroborated by the Carania from the ancient burial caves of Coahuila in northern Mexico, which exhibit this type as clearly dominant. It is interesting in this connection to find that culturally, these people of Coahuila were in many respects closely allied to the basket makers. Dixon goes on to say, we cannot here invoke the influence of European intermixture since there has been very little miscegenation, particularly among the Utes. Attention must also be called to a fact whose significance will be apparent when we come to discuss the sequence of racial types in the continent as a whole. This is the existence of a moderate factor of around 17% of the Mongoloid type in the series of Ute and Paiute Carania, and in smaller measure in the basket makers. According to the research in craniometric conformations, the Mongoloid Carania is a recent intrusive type in the Americas that in many cases invaded and migrated into already thriving and pre-existing aboriginal territories inhabited by the true indigenous Americans classified as Negroid people.
Hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
That's what the ancestors wanted to get out tonight.